have to find my page.
Yeah, welcome to the great sounds of KWLAH, the market leader in the South Bay. I am Rock Ashfield, your moderator here, and we are here to talk to Karen Anderson of the Prestige team, one of the leading realtors here at Keller Williams, LA Harbor. Karen, it's nice to see you.
Hi, sorry about the late. I don't usually travel that early in the morning up Western, and there's a reason why. Now I remember why.
I'm sure Karen would say the secret to success is being prompt. So
yes, I'm sorry.
Well, anyway, thanks for everybody being here. What a great crowd. Karen, you are a leader in the office, and what do you do, just real quickly? You've averaged volume-wise the last couple of years.
I think last year it was 47 million, and this year it's going to be more.
Wow, I actually underplayed you in the promo there. So
yeah, you did, but it's okay.
Okay, good. Keep your expectations here.
Yeah.
Why don't you tell us how you came to real estate, how you got started, and how you got here?
Well, you know, the funny thing is I always had an interest in real estate on the fringe. I've been in sales pretty much most of my adult, well, actually from the time I was a teenager, my first jobs were in retail, and I always enjoyed working with the public and, you know, being engaged and basically having jobs with limitless income potential, I guess, if you want to call it that. I've kind of a couple of times in life out of circumstances was in jobs where I had that limited income potential. You know, this was my salary. And I'm like, I always had kind of bigger aspirations. So I'm like, what am I going to do with that? So one of my friends who was a salesperson put it in those words. She said, I have to have something with limitless income potential. And this is definitely something that fits that bill. But I always had an interest in it during the course of my other jobs, which my previous industry was completely unrelated. I was in industrial tooling sales, which was kind of fun because I was one of the first women and very few women that were in that industry. So I was kind of a novelty. And I always had to kind of prove myself to the guys that, you know, I worked with and the clients, because they didn't expect me to know anything. And then I had to find the delicate balance of letting them know that I knew what I was talking about without insulting their egos, I guess you want to say. But I always used to read my Daily Breeze home guide every weekend, and I was fascinated by the ads and a lot of the women, many of whom were in this office and some who still are. And to me, they were like celebrities because their pictures were in the paper and all of that. And it was, you know, and I finally took the leap in 1997 and said, I'm going to get my license. And I thought, okay, well, I can still do my regular job during the day and I can do this on the weekends and, you know, make some supplemental income. And then after, you know, I got my license in July, and thinking about how long ago that was, 97, I made over $30,000 in like a 5-month period selling a couple of houses. The next year it doubled, working part-time. And the third year I, you know, made like over $80,000 at the time, which was a lot of money because it was 1999. And I said, you know, this is a lot more fun and a lot more rewarding than what I was doing. So with the support of my wonderful husband, I took that leap and went full-time into real estate and haven't looked back. So that's how I got here.
So that's actually cool, because we do meet a lot of people who want to transition from full-time into real estate, and you did that over a period of 3 years.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And yeah, it was nice because I was chasing people for money all the time. And here it was like, you sell a house, you get a check. This is kind of awesome. But you know, I didn't realize it would become so ingrained in me. It's pretty much is my life now, but I enjoy it. And if I didn't enjoy what I was doing, I don't think I would be able to do as much as I do.
So when you started by yourself, then you also got your broker?
By myself. Yeah, I was working for an independent broker who was out in Upland. It was interesting how I got connected with her, but she was an excellent mentor. But it became apparent after that I needed to expand my boundaries a little bit. So I partnered up with a mortgage broker. At the time, I was actually doing mortgages also because we could do that with the same license. And I was taught that from the very beginning. So most of the buyers I was working with, I was also doing their financing. Then I partnered up with a mortgage broker who's still here local, and started a real estate division there that was Prestige Real Estate. And eventually I took over that office and had about 15 agents working for me. But the overhead was crazy. And I thought I have enough trouble worrying about what comes out of my mouth. And those of you who know me probably know that about me. So to worry about what was coming out of everybody else's mouth and the responsibility that goes with being a broker, plus the overhead, it was taking a lot of my time away from just doing what I wanted to do, which was selling homes. So in 2007, I made the decision to come here, and I've been here ever since. My office was called Prestige Real Estate Services. So in order to make the transition a little bit easier and not lose what I had built, we created the Prestige team, because I was pretty much associated with that name. The people, the agents and people in town knew me by that moniker. So we just kept it and kept it rolling.
And so when you came here, we were not Keller Williams. They had not adopted the
No, you
Keller
were.
Williams. We
Yeah.
were?
Yeah.
Oh, in 07, you're right.
Yeah.
Okay. So we were 2 years into the KW franchise that
Yep.
Landmark Realty took over then. So what was it like back then?
At Keller?
Yeah.
Well, I can tell you one of the reasons I came here is because I was in a deal with Michelle Miley, as a matter of fact. And I remember walking into the old office, and there was this huge thing on the wall, painted on the wall, that said Keller Williams, where the agents are the stars. And that like made such an impact on me. And then dealing with Michelle herself and her level of professionalism, and just the energy in the office, it was pretty inspiring. And I'll be honest, because prior to that, the perception, I guess, of Keller Williams was a little bit cult-like, drinking the Kool-Aid and the red and the whole thing. But I've got past that really quickly, and found that that was a bunch of bullpucky, and I, enjoyed it here ever since. The support that I get here from the staff and from Gordon, and even having people here that to bounce things off of, and I know, like, I'm kind of one of the seniors, but every once in a while you have something in your head and you're like, I'm not sure if that's just quite right, so we have people to go to and talk to, and it's great. I mean, the energy here is good, and I hope that more people will start coming back to the office, because that really is very inspiring for me to have that environment.
And I always thought we were a little bit unique, being an independent real estate company that had been in business for a while, and then took all the tools and technology that KW has. And it is right, we do support each other. We're always asking each other questions. So when you got here, what did your team look like? How did you get to the team you are now? And what were the decisions you made as you went along the way?
Well, some of the agents that I had in my office did come here with me, but not necessarily under my banner. Irene, my executive assistant, we've been working together since her son was born. That was 18 years ago. We took a few year break in between, but so she was with me, she's been with me, and pretty much that was it. It was the two of us. And as things grew, and I started to realize I couldn't do everything that I was doing. Actually, when I first came here, it was a real lull. So it was a little bit scary for me, because I was like, oh my God, did I make a mistake? I think I came in October, and it wasn't until January that I actually had an actual sale. So I was freaking out a little bit about that, but at the same time, glad I had cut my overhead. But then there was an agent in the office that was struggling a little bit on her own at the time, which is crazy because she's absolutely phenomenal, top producer now, that joined my team and was with me for 7 years, I think, 7 or 8 years.
Leslie?
And yeah, Leslie. And then, the way she described it, she goes, it's like a mama bird raising her baby bird and then you leave the nest. And of course, we're still good friends, and she's my grandson's godmother. And and we still work together on a few things. But Jonathan came to me about 5 or 6 years ago. The time seems like it passes so fast, I can't even remember. And he came on as a buyer's agent, and then after a year or two, figured out that that really wasn't what he wanted to do. He's much better in a support role, and he's much better with the marketing. So we recreated his position, reinvented that, and brought on Lee almost 2 years ago, who had been an agent for 10 years, and I had done deals with her, and she was absolutely phenomenal. And I approached her about joining the team, and she was very, I guess the timing, it was just kind of like kismet. She said, I work much better on a team. And she came in here like gangbusters and doubled her own production in the first year, and she's exceeded that now. So it's interesting having two high Ds on the same team, because our personalities are very similar, and we're both very strong-minded women. But it's worked. It works.
They said it couldn't be done.
Yeah. Yeah. My coach definitely had some concerns about it, but we made it work.
And then when you go to building teams, they always say, don't build a team and wait for the business. You had to have the business then to make that decision, right?
Pretty much, yeah. And when it got where it was just completely unmanageable, it's kind of like you grow or you die. And the Keller Williams business model for teams is that I should be able to step out at some point in time, and my team would continue to, sorry, let me turn that off. My team would continue to keep going and to support me, in my old age, which is quickly approaching. But the nice thing about this is I can keep doing it until people stop hiring me, but which is my plan. But my family situation is a little unique because I have a husband that's much older than I am, and I also take care of my mom. So if I need to step away, I know that my team can keep everything going to the same standard that I have, tried to uphold.
And you also have Jonathan on your team, who really handles a lot of your tech side, right?
He
And
does our
marketing.
tech side, he does our marketing, and he pretty much does anything else I need him to do. I mean, for somebody with his young age to have the work ethic that he has, I feel so blessed that he chose to work with us, because you don't find that a whole lot in the younger generation for some reason. But he grew up in an entrepreneurial family and understands what it takes to make a successful business.
No, it is interesting when you ask me about additional buyer's agents or something like that. It's like they have to fit with this group that all has the same tenacious work ethic. So
right, exactly.
Then what do you do for lead generation? Because I know he puts in a lot of work on your website and all that type of stuff. But what would you say your main lead generation tool is?
Well, actually, my longevity is probably my biggest lead generation tool, because I would say probably 75% of our business at least comes from repeat clients and referrals. But he has made a concerted effort in the last couple of years to work on our social media presence and our website, and search engine optimization and things that bring business in. He's created neighborhood specific landing pages and things like that. And we've worked hard to get those to rank, and we do get quite a few leads that come in organically now through our website. We do some paid advertising as well, and we do also use some outside referral sources.
And I've talked to agents who have tried to, I want Karen Anderson's website and stuff. And it's like, well, that's many years of investment to get to that point, right?
That's a completely custom website. That's not, and I have to tell you, the other thing is that when I get referrals from outside agents, a lot of it is because of the website, because well, first of all, I know when I'm looking for referral agents, the first thing I do is go to the Keller Williams site and I look up everybody's production, because we're fortunate enough to have that. I look at who some of those top agents are, their level of production. Sometimes I don't always go for the top agent depending on what type of referral I'm looking for, but then I look for them on the web. I Google them, I look at their website. If they've got the canned package website that everybody else has, that tells me that they're not really in tune with how things work on the internet. Um, I look for somebody with that presence. If I can't find you, then, maybe you're not the right person that I'm looking for.
But website aside and all that tech stuff, because not everybody's going to do that or do that investment,
Right.
or it takes time. What would you suggest to agents of all different levels, the best way to either to develop leads?
Well, first of all, come to work. That's number one. And I'll say that every day. Now,
Show up.
my particular discipline is that I have to work in the office. I have too many distractions at home. And to me, it's just me personally. Some people that works well for, but I have to get up every day and go to work. That's how I do it. And I keep that same routine. The other thing I guess would be you have to tell everybody you know what you do. Okay. And that means your spouses, your significant others, whatever, they need to be telling everybody they know what you do. Because my first business all came from my sphere. The first house I sold was to my sister, and the second house I sold was to one of my brother-in-law's best friends at the time. And then the other thing was that since I was still doing the two jobs, all my other clients from my other job knew what I was doing. So I did get business that way. I got business from my insurance agent. You just have to let everybody know what you're doing, and once you get one or two under your belt, the rest of them will come. The hard thing, we used to use open houses a lot as a introduction to people. But since the technology's changed so much and there's so much out there on the internet now, it's a little bit harder to do that, but you do still make those connections. So definitely, do open houses now that we have the privilege to do that again. I don't know, door knocking's never been a real big one for me, and especially now with, the new restrictions and new world that we have around us, door knocking's probably not the best choice. But, it's all about making sure people know what you're doing, and getting yourself out there.
By the way, real quick, it's a little more of a family affair here because your daughter is one of our.
Well, she's one of your staff. Yeah. And I try to keep those two things separate because first of all, I don't want anybody that has a negative impression of me to not work with her because she's very good at what she does. But yeah, she actually started, we had another business in town here. It was a coffee shop that was right across the street. And when she first got married and wanted to start her family, she said that was just too intense, too labor intensive. It, was basically like almost a 24/7 job, and she wanted to start a family. So we exited that. And she came to work for me as my assistant for a little while. And I remember her words specifically sitting in the chair, looking at me saying, "Mom, I enjoy this." She goes, "But I don't want to be you. This is not what I want to do." And unfortunately for her, I guess she's turned into that part of me. She's got a very strong work ethic. She's very good at what she does. And I handed her, I remember in the beginning when she was doing my TC work, I basically handed her a done file and I handed her a stack of ones that weren't done. And I said, make these look like that one. And that was basically her introduction to TC. And then she did end up getting her license and decided that the sales part of it was just not something she enjoyed at all. But she loved doing the paperwork. So it just kind of grew from there for her.
Yeah, so she leads a transaction coordination team of 2 here. And then finally, or maybe not finally, might have a question or two. What do you see of the market? Where have we come? We know it just went crazy toward the end, our beginning of the year here. What do you see on the horizon?
Well, I wish I had that crystal ball, but I think that as long as things continue to move on the trajectory they are, and our economy is for the most part open and moving, I think the market will stay good. I think we're in too much turmoil, I guess, in the world order to think that the interest rates are going to change significantly. So I think that that's a good thing. As long as it stays that way, it helps people with the affordability of even these very high priced homes. I think it's going to continue to move. I think it'll level off. I think I'm almost seeing a little bit of that leveling off starting to happen, maybe. Um, I took a client out last weekend and showed them 15 homes in one day. And the fact that I had 15 homes to show them in the area they were looking in actually made me happy that there was enough inventory for them to look at. And it also kind of indicated to me that maybe, there's more stuff coming and there's more stuff sitting. The home they ended up getting an accepted offer on had been on the market for 42 days or something like that. So, that worked out well for them. I think that we don't really need to have much of a fear of the crash that we had before, because people are not buying houses beyond their means that with adjustable rate loans. So as long as they can afford the house now, barring any, major life event like a death of a spouse or serious illness, they should still be able to afford their homes. And I'm trying to think of a way to say this without it sounding horrible, but when the market crashed the last time, Gary Keller wrote a book called Shift, and we basically had to do that. I mean, I became a short sale expert. I had a person on my team that was only doing that, negotiating short sales at that time. So, we just had to change our focus and do what needed to be done to survive, I guess.
Yeah, I think the overriding theme of Shift was work harder.
Yeah, well, and we did, because short sales were no easy feat, believe me. And, and on the plus side of that, when things started to turn around, a lot of those people who had lost their homes, we were able to get them into new homes that were much more affordable and much more secure situations for them.
By the way, if anybody has a question, they can put it in the chat. But do you think we might see REOs looming in the future?
I'm not really expecting a lot of that. I mean, I have clients that I'm helping get, workarounds to their COVID modifications and forbearance plans that they had. And banks don't want these houses back. I mean, what are they going to do with them in reality? They can't keep your equity. If you have equity, they have to give you back your equity, even if they foreclose. So they don't want these houses. They don't want that glut. And I think, that they're doing everything they can to help people move into permanent modifications and get back on track from the forbearances.
Uh-oh, what happened? What do you think about the competition out there? We just actually talked in our team meeting about Zillow appearing now, but do you have any comments about our competitors and what the new format may be going forward?
Well, I think it's a little bit, honestly, I'll be perfectly honest, it is a little bit scary, because I've been in business long enough to see many, many changes across the industry. And, this is something new, and you've got a lot of young people out there that are techie and they think this is simple. They have the impression that we're overpaid for what we do, but if they ever gave us an opportunity to show them what we do, they probably would have a much different opinion. Because there's a lot of legalities and things that go into things that you don't see when you're just signing papers and not dealing with an actual real person. So I think that Keller Williams is on the right track to introduce an iBuyer program to keep us as part of that equation for the people who are inclined to do that. I don't like it as a buyer's agent having to deal with them, because you're not dealing with anybody that adheres to any code of ethics. And that's my biggest take on that.
Right. And also acting as a single point of responsibility for the deal, which is, to me, how you sell yourself when you compete against these brand X type folks. Richard Sperling asked about the iBuyer program. I don't know if you can speak any to it. We know Keller does have one. It's in certain different levels of activity depending where you live in the country.
Right. So iBuyer basically just means that this is everything's being done electronically and everything's being done online. So Zillow is going out to our prospective buyer or sellers basically and giving them offers to buy their homes. And it always appears on the surface to be a phenomenal offer. And then when you get into the nuts and bolts of it, the fees, the costs and everything are much, much higher than a traditional sale. And a lot of times they're ending up with less than what they should have gotten if they did a traditional sale.
And you're dealing with a corporation, just not one person, and it takes time, and escrow is going to be longer. And we Daniel Whitney did a great review of that this week. So that's something you should steer your clients away from, I would say. Okay, we got 1 minute left. Do you have any final things you like to tell the group of 80,000 out there?
Well, just that I'm grateful for everybody that joined the call. I know it's a little early, but I am very grateful to be a part of this office and have what is offered here, and the company as a whole and their values. I hope to be here for a lot longer. And I know that some people think I'm a little bit intimidating, but my door is always open. And if anybody has a question, you know, like I said, my door is always open. I answer my phone, I answer my texts. So if anybody needs help with anything, I'm always available and happy to help.
By the way, you may not recognize it, but she throws a mean karaoke party, which we had scheduled previously, but we shut down for various health reasons. And but we aim to get that back. So if you're ever in the area, hear about the karaoke party at LA Harbor, Karen Anderson's house, you really need to come.
Yeah.
You'll hear both of us say.
Okay.
All right, Karen, thank you very much. Thanks for getting up. Thanks for running the red lights. And thanks to everybody on this call.
My pleasure.
Have a good weekend.
Bye-bye.